This is a great day. Carol, are you okay? Come on in. Grab a chair. There's a couple chairs in the back. There's one right here. Oh no, is somebody sitting there? Yeah, somebody's there. Grab a chair. Well, please do not be sad. This is not a sad day. These are not sad. This is not a sad time. I was wondering today, what am I going to talk about? And then I debated, maybe I'll just walk in, say hello, and then turn around and leave. But what I did do, like he did, he just turned around and walked out. I'm done. True to form, I stick to the program. So many of you who've gotten to know me over the last several years know that I kind of stick to the program. So I'll stick to the program again today. I will go through the resident council meeting of last week, share some of those items with you, the residents. And then I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea, just as a little reminder, to talk about what we've done here at the community over the last few years. So I just put a little synopsis together on some of the highlights, some of the things that we've been able to do. And then there's also a portion that talks about some of the projects that are coming, right? And I'll walk through some of those, right? So talk a little bit about what's happened and what's moving forward. I do want to first and foremost apologize to the residents of Building 3. The technician is here. There is a component that they need, and I'm being told that it should be completed today, by end of day today. So fingers crossed. I'm always a little bit leery with that until it actually happens, but they should be able to complete that today. And then we're gonna work a little bit more. I'm here through the end of next week, and then I have some thoughts on how we're gonna work with our elevator people on a little bit of a plan to try to make some of these adjustments a little bit easier and quicker, so it's not as painful for the residents. So I do apologize for what's happening there today and last night. So here we go. So we'll talk about the resident council. I'll do a little bit of an overview of the last 4 years. I actually arrived at the community at the end of May 2020, and if anybody remembers what happened in March of 2020, we had our first COVID stuff happen. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think back sometimes of what we thought we knew, anyway, it's interesting to reflect upon that 4 years later. I will talk a little bit about this, and it does make me, there's a part of me that is sad. I really love this community. I care deeply for the people that are here, so I'm gonna try not to cry. But I will miss each and every one of you, and I did share with a few residents that maybe I'll bring some residents with me. And then they went, "Where are you going?" I don't think so. Not so much. But anyway, and we'll do a little Q&A session after, as we normally do. All right, here we go. So one of the first items, and graciously one of our residents was very helpful with this, we wanted to contact somebody from FPL who could help us work on some of the utility boxes. So some of you have noticed that the utility boxes around the campus are torn up, need painting, in disrepair. So we do, graciously Mary Cooper, thank you Mary for your help. We do have a contact. The contact did get back to me, good. But like many contacts do, they kind of pushed me to somebody else. So now I went from 1 to 2, which is okay. I have the name and an email address of someone. And I'm following up with that second person who's in the engineering crew. So more to come on that. This will not fall through the cracks because I will have some team members here pick this up even though I'll be gone at the end of next week. We'll make sure that we follow through on this and that we can get those utility boxes repaired. We do need to address the front entrance post of Building 5. This has been brought up a couple times now, so we'll be tackling this. This is on our list. We did, myself and Jim, we actually toured with our landscape contractor on some areas that do need some additional trimming. So he was actually out here last week. He had one of his team members here. So this will be happening over the next little while. Some additional trimming that was either missed or maybe not done exactly the way it should have been done. So this is underway. And then we do need to maintain our dog park area better. There's been a few reports of some areas that are a little bit in disrepair, so we're going to be tackling the maintenance of the dog park. Woodpeckers. So we do have this. I don't have a timeline yet on when they're going to do this, but there are many holes. I actually did a tour of the community the other day, so we need to address this, and now's the time to repair those holes. So we're going to be working on getting this done, so that, oh, here's somebody's coming in the back. We do need to address the woodpecker hole, so this is coming. Some adjustments. We had a comment that on the third floor of the common areas that potentially the thermostat should be set a little bit cooler, seeing as though the hotter, warmer air tends to rise. So we're going to make some adjustments in those thermostats to see how we can maybe cool a little bit better on the second and third floors of each one of the residential buildings. We talked a little bit about this. We actually had a conversation with Lee and Katie about doing some more training. There were some examples that were shared with us relative to some of the staff, some of their interventions. So we're going to work with the team to make sure that these scenarios do not repeat themselves. There were some rust stains identified in front of building 2 that we're going to address. And then we did have some reports of resident vehicles that unfortunately people that were not residents got into. One of the common themes that came to our attention when this happened is those vehicles were not secured. So we're reiterating with all residents, please, even if you park your car, walk in a building for a little bit, secure your vehicle. Make sure it's locked. When it's unlocked, it's just an easy target for individuals to go through. So please make sure that you're securing your vehicles. We also have our parking spots that need to be painted. I didn't really adjust this thing very well. It's bouncing in my mouth. All right, here we go. I'm not going to bend it too far. Or a bigger ear. That would be better. Is that okay? Okay. So we do need to address this. There is going to be some reconfiguration when we do this, reconfiguration of some of the handicap spots, but in front of 3, 4, and a little bit 5, there needs to be some repainting done. And then we had a report that the exit door, building 3, I believe it was on the 2nd floor, we need to adjust. It was hard to open. And then we also talked about this with our culinary team about one of the poor experiences that everybody had relative to, not everybody, but a good majority or a good number of residents had on a Friday night with prime rib. It was, as I shared with the resident council, an internal issue. It was our team that really dropped the ball, so there's no excuses to that. Lee was able to kind of look into that and put some measures in place to make sure that type of incident does not occur again. Come on in. Let me help with the door, it's heavy. Hi. All right, here you go. It's okay, come on in. There's some seats. Is there some seats over there? So you're going to go right to the back. Thank you. All right. Alita's pointing, directing traffic.
Yes, I see her.
So this will be addressed. We do apologize for that. We did reach out. Lee actually reached out to several of the individuals that were there that night. And we do encourage you that if you do experience something like this, to please reach out directly to the team, reach out to Lee and to Katie to speak with them.
Well, now everybody wants to know what the problem is.
It's an internal issue. we screwed up. We did not do a good job. That's as far as I'm gonna go. I'm not giving you any more information. There's miscommunication with our team. We really did not do a good job, and no excuses. We dropped it completely. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about wait times in the dining room. I know that we've talked a little bit about this. There are going to be wait times no matter what we do when it's really busy. So we're gonna review some possibilities. One of the examples or one of the possibilities is maybe we extend our hours, right? So right now we do dinner service from 4 and last seating is 6:30. We'll talk a little bit about this, but we'll see if maybe we can extend the hours. That way it will relieve some of the pressure in those peak times, right? But once again, we need to be able to provide the services on those extended hours. So more to come on that front. I'm not gonna promise anything today, but we will be reviewing that to try to diminish some of the wait times. We're gonna review some options. There was a comment about maybe putting, I put placemats. That's a mistake. I should have put centerpieces. So, sorry, see where my head is at. Centerpieces should have been there. So there was some discussion about maybe, can we change the placemats? Can we put some funky placemats with colors? But there was a really good idea about maybe our celebrations team could organize something to maybe do some centerpieces that we could, work with on the tables to kind of spruce them up. So we'll see how that goes, but Bailey's gonna work on that. There was a question about some of the rodent traps that we have around the campus, and we have several of them, not to say many of them. And they are baited and checked not by our team, but by our contractors, so they are maintained. There were some questions surrounding that, are they checked regularly? And they are. And they do have residents sometimes. And we dispose of those residents. There was some discussion about some of the housekeeping products. I encouraged everyone, and Maria knows her stuff. She's here actually today. Please speak with Maria. If you're concerned about the product that's being used or not enough or too much or whatever it is, you can reach out directly to her and she'll work through that with you. She does have guidelines that she needs to follow. So it's not as though each resident can go, well, here, I like Mop and Glow and I like this, and no, she'll work with you, okay? She's really good at that. So please reach out to her. Okay, I wanted to do a bit of an overview or a community review. I'm sure I'm gonna miss a bunch of different things here. I was really focused more on some of the major initiatives or major projects that we've done, primarily to improve the community over the last few years, and to really help us, continue with a really vibrant community, a very vibrant resident population, an engaged workforce. This is by far one of the most engaged places that I've ever worked in, not just in senior living, but in any type of environment that I've worked in. So, here's some of the things. So the pandemic hit us in March 2020. Does everybody remember that? Wow. So we're like, wow, what's going on here? This is crazy. And then what happened? Right? Everybody's like, well, you can't go out. Nobody can go out. We can't go visit anybody. I remember when I started here at the end of May, I really couldn't visit any residents. And for me, that was strange because one of the very first things I do is try to connect with the people that are at the community. And now when I did see residents, what did we look like? We had masks on. Couldn't even tell who's who, who's the new guy, can't even see, can't see his face. So those are difficult things. When we think back upon that, that was a really difficult time that we were not, I don't think any of us were prepared for. So it created a bit of an odd environment. And it lasted a good while, basically most of 2020, if you remember correctly. We were actually underway, the renovations of the clubhouse were underway when I started. I think they had started in March. They started tearing things up. and they didn't complete them until November of that year. So we look at that today and we go, oh, well that's, what is that, 8 months? That's a long time, 8 months. Change in the executive director, some changes in some of the leadership, residents confined to their apartments, we've got masks on. And then when we came back in November, we kind of still had the masks on, right? I don't know if everybody remembers, but when we did dining, we were like on shifts. So we had like an early seating and a later seating, and we were trying not to mix things, and then the tables, we'd have to flip all the tables and sanitize everything because we were sanitizing everything at that point. It was crazy. So I just reflecting upon that, remember that all of us kind of lived through that. Every single one of us in the room here had to live through that. So the renovations were done. We opened up with social distancing guidelines. So now it was like, okay, we're gonna do an activity, right? Well, but we can't be, what was it, 6 feet? We can't be within 6 feet of one another. How did we do that? And we're gonna dance, Helen and I are gonna dance, and we can't dance, we can't get closer to than 6 feet. And this continued, this type of programming, if you remember, into 2021. So there were still kind of surges at certain points of the year where we might have been a little more relaxed because there were less cases being reported, but it still continued into 2021. And in the weekly update document that we produce every Friday, I would put, does everybody remember the first section? I think I did that for 2 years or 3 years. Here are the statistics. Collier County has so many cases and a percentage of this, and so it was a while. It was not 2020, we're done, everything's kind of back to normal. So we continued into 2021. We worked on the common, after we completed the clubhouse here, we moved to the inn, to the assisted living, and we worked on updating the common areas at the inn. And that was primarily done in 2021. Yeah, it was completed in 2021. So one project happening, moving to another one. Still have the pandemic in 2021 because there were still cases being reported. We were receiving direction for the inn. We were receiving direction from the health department here in Collier County. So if they saw a surge in cases, then they would contact our administrator, contact me and say, hey, what are you guys doing about this? You gotta, are you doing social distancing? Are people wearing masks? Or what are you doing to try to mitigate this? So these are, we're doing a renovation, but we're also trying to manage through a pandemic. I remember having a meeting with the general contractor, and we had to develop guidelines for their staff. Because now their staff is coming in our building, and they're doing renovations. So where do they come in? Where do they leave? They have to have a mask on. At that point, people were fed up with masks, right? Try to get the staff and the general contractors and employees to wear masks. So all of these things continue to go. However, we continue to pursue the renovations and improve the community. We then started the hallway common area renovation in building 3. We did that fairly quickly, and I'll remember this, I'll never forget this, and we thought that we were gonna do one building and another building, then another building right away, boom, boom, get them all done. It didn't happen that way. So we had a bit of a stop, and we were not able to complete all the remaining areas until 2023, a little bit into 2024, and there's still one piece left. It's gonna be all the signage that will be completed for buildings 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that will still happen. It should happen, I'm being told, soon. So this year we should get all of that signage completed. But we were able to complete all the updates and all the renovations in the hallways. We get all that done. Our elevators, oh my God, what are we doing in the elevators? We've got to modernize them, we need to do upgrades. So we are, as I shared at the beginning of the meeting, we are complete, but there's still adjustments to be done, and I think we're still going to be dealing with that probably for at least a month or so. But really good that we were able to complete the work that we got done. So that work completed in 2024, and then the signage that I just mentioned will happen later this year. I actually received an email today from the person who's driving this from our corporate office. The order is there, everything's been put in a while ago, so we should receive that signage as soon as possible. And then I kind of reversed these a little. I should have done it in a different order. So we did a soft wash cleaning of all the buildings in 2024. We did that just a little while ago. And now we've determined that we need to do some stucco work. So I've been sharing with the residents over the last little while that there's some specific areas that do need some remediation work. We've had a structural engineer in to look at all of that. There's no structural issues with what's there. It's really cosmetic. However, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be addressed. So we're tackling a few strategic areas. And then when I talk about future projects, I'll get into a little bit of detail of what's gonna come, probably, I would assume, next year. So when you group all these things together, just to give you a monetary component to it, there is approximately $14 million that's been invested in the community in all these different areas. It does not include the regular expenses or the capital expenditures that we do on an annual basis. Those would include some new equipment for the kitchen, if we do some new flooring, the unit turns that we do in the apartments. So any of those changes are not included in this number. This is really those specific to those projects. So a good amount of money was invested into the community, and with a very vibrant resident population, I think has really set this community in an awesome place. I just look at the faces around the room. It's a great environment. You're very hospitable, you're welcoming. What does that do? It attracts other people, right, to the community. So the community will continue to prosper and flourish for as long as the residents are engaged and as hospitable as you are. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Some of the future projects. Roof replacement, I'm being told by the ownership that this should happen in the fourth quarter, at least start in the fourth quarter of this year. It will probably take longer than just the fourth quarter. So as soon as more information comes available with start dates, you will be made aware. As much as, you know, we're going, yes, this is great, this is an inconvenience. Believe me, working through projects like this, so please be patient as the roofs are being replaced. But this project is coming this year. Some asphalt replacement and seal coating will probably happen in the first part of next year, is what I'm being told right now. So some of the areas, the drive around and the asphalt areas need to be addressed. Painting and refurbishment of signage. This is not necessarily replacement of signage, but this project is on our list to do later this year. So try to get, you know, some of those older signs that need some TLC and need some painting and some fixing to get those fixed. Landscape material replacement, we've done a few strategic areas so far. We're going to continue to do a few more for the remainder of 2024, and then reassess for next year what we can tackle in 2025. And then this will be most probably, what I'm being told now, 2025 project. Once all the roofs are completed, then there will be a project to complete stucco repair, along with a painting of the residential buildings and the clubhouse along with the inn. Okay, so this is still to come, but I think 2025, later in 2025. Some striping and concrete stoppers, so all those little parking stoppers that are around where your vehicles are. Eventually down the road, I'm not sure about this for 2025, I would venture to say probably 2026 would be a replacement of some of the directional signage. So I do not think you'll see this next year. Some exterior lighting replacement, some of the small bollard lighting that you see, some of the other lighting that needs to be replaced, that would probably also fall into 2026. We have talked about this, some heightened security. Relative, I think there's kind of two areas that we would start. One would be a potential transponder system at the gates, but I think even before that, we're looking at some door locking systems for the residential buildings. So either some sort of fob access for residents for the residential buildings. And the way it would probably work, and nothing's been determined yet, but we would leave the buildings accessible during operation hours, and then at a certain time, they would lock down, and then only residents with their fob access could enter into the buildings. But this is something that we're starting to look at. Not sure about 2025 for this yet. We've put it in our proposal for next year, Jim and myself, but we'll see what our ownership comes back with. But this is coming. All right. So that's kind of the quick summary. There's a ton of other things, other initiatives that, you know, I could stand here probably for 2 hours and go through some of the things that have happened. But just from a high level standpoint, I thought that gives everybody a good little history of the last few years. What's coming up? So Bailey keeps doing an awesome job. Jen, you did an awesome job also. You're both doing an awesome job. So I just like to highlight these. August 28th, cards for to be signed for firefighters. So remembering 9/11. So on August 28th, you'll be able to sign the cards that go to the firefighters, correct? That will be distributed in and around 9/11, is that right? On 9/11, okay, perfect. And then we also prepared little gift bags for the fire stations. We have 3 primary fire stations that service Aston Gardens here, so we try to touch all 3 of them. And that will occur on Tuesday, September 3rd at 10:30. You need to sign up for that though, right? Okay, so you need to do a sign-up sheet if you want to participate in that. The Veterans Honor Flight, do we know when the honor flight is yet? Or we do we know? 28th of September, and then there'll be some card signing on Wednesday, September 4th. Where's that happening?
Either in the media center or in the lobby.
Okay, so either in the library, media center, or in the lobby. Okay, so you can sign cards for the veterans that go on the honor flight. September 6th, so a tailgate party, so that means football season is here. Is it here?
Yeah.
Who's gonna win?
I think Ohio State.
Buckeyes.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
Is that a pipe dream?
Georgia. That's fact.
Ohio.
Ken and Jennifer are convinced. September 6th, there's a tailgate party in the multi-purpose room, so your favorite teams, please wear the jersey or your favorite colors. September 9th, FGCU Academy presentation at 2 p.m. Well, this will be an interesting one. The wives of Henry VIII. How many wives did he have? 6. 6? He's a busy guy.
Getting rid of them.
Well, he had a strategy for that, right? I'll just control the church, I'm good. It's all good.
They didn't all live through it.
They didn't.
They didn't all live through it.
September 13th, Friday, September 13th, Carrie from Connect Hearing will be here in the Media Center. And then Professor Kerr will be here for a presentation on 9/11 history, right? Did I get that right? And sorry, that will happen on September 13th at 1 o'clock in the multipurpose room. Another FGCU presentation will be held on the 23rd at 2 p.m. and that's going to be on tips and tricks for iPhone and iPad. So I know I could use some tips and tricks for iPhone and iPad. And then I will not be here for this either. Revenge. The residents versus the staff. I forgot an S on the residents there. Residents versus the staff putting tournament will be on Thursday, September 26th at 9 a.m. And if anybody can, chop Mr. Foster down at the knees before the event, that might help our chances.
Now you're talking about pipe dream.
Touche. Good luck to the staff.
Yeah.
Good luck. You need to practice, okay? Get ready, because they're pretty good. So we did share with everyone last week that I will be leaving the community. I've accepted the role of Chief Operations Officer at a community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places. I remember when I got a phone call about, hey, what about this? And I said, where? Tulsa, Oklahoma. Where's that? So it is a continuing care retirement community. They obviously did convince me to go because I have accepted. I am excited about the opportunity. The community is called Montereau. It was founded by a foundation called the Warren Foundation in Tulsa approximately 20 plus years ago. Beautiful community, sits on, the total campus is 100 acres. However, they use approximately 30 to 40 acres right now. There is some expansion in the future, but they have approximately, Jack was sharing the stats with me today, just over 500 residents and approximately 300 team members. So it's a busy place. I will be basically running the day-to-day operations of the community, so I'm really excited about that opportunity. There's a full skilled nursing health center with assisted living, memory care. When I say nursing, is basically if you wanted to do rehab, you can do it on site at the community. So it's a beautiful community. And Tulsa, actually, if you've never been there, I was really surprised. It's a nice town. The size is about 1 million people, and it's really a nice town. So my last day will be a week from this Friday, September 6th. I'll be leaving here. I will miss all of you. Hang on a sec, let me take that back. I'm gonna miss most of you. I really will miss the relationships I've been able to develop here at the community. We've been through so many different things together. I have so many good memories, and I'm really I'm excited about the future for Aston Gardens. I think there's just such a, I can't repeat it enough, there's such a welcoming atmosphere here. People tell me all the time that they feel when they come to the community, they just feel welcome. Whether it's chatting with residents, primarily chatting with residents or the staff, it's a nice place to be. So keep doing what you're doing. I am super excited about my next opportunity. We will probably come back and visit. However, just from a personal perspective, I have a son now who we actually drove to Orlando. So he's going to be going to school in Orlando for the next 4 years. So he's settled. He's in a great place. He's like, yeah, Mom and Dad, I got this. I can live in Orlando. So he'll be living in Orlando, and then our second boy has actually made the decision to come with us to Tulsa. So he'll be moving with us probably by the end of this year is kind of the game plan. So more to come on that front. I really appreciate all the residents that have come to see me already, just to wish me well and to chat a little bit. I remain available to do that and to work diligently until the end of next week. But thank you for everything. I appreciate it. Questions? Question period. All right, Lynn.
We want to thank you. It's been wonderful having you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've worked in a bunch of different places in my life. This has been one of the most enjoyable, believe it or not, even though some of the things that we've been through. But I really appreciate your perspective, each one of you. Even if we don't always agree on everything, that's okay. You've always come to me in a constructive way and trying to figure out ways that we can make this community better. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I I appreciate it. I've gotten a ton of really kind words from many different people, so it's great. It's all good. Any other questions? Yep. Mr. Gerson, hang on, Mr. Barry, and then we're gonna go to Mr. Gerson after, okay?
The elephant in the room.
Yep.
Who's coming in?
Oh, really? I do not know. So I do not know who the executive director will be. I can share, so there's a few things I can share with you. They started the recruitment almost literally a couple days after I gave my notice, which was just over 2 weeks ago. There's been several candidates that have applied for the position. I do not, actually I shouldn't say that. Most of them I do not know. But I can tell you that there are, I'm being told that some really good candidates with some really good experience that have applied. My sense is we might know a little bit more next week. There were some initial interviews that happened late last week and early this week. So maybe next week, but for sure I would think in approximately 2 weeks you should have some sort of information from the regional VP. Her name is Linda Roberts. She's the lady that I report to. She's based in Tampa, but she travels around the state. So more to come on that front. There may also be, they're looking at potentially putting an interim person in until the permanent person can start. So you will know that by next week if there's an interim person coming to the community. This team, though, I will share with you, the leadership team, the director team that we have, please go directly to those people. They know their departments, they know what they're doing. They're there to help you, right? So don't feel as though you cannot. Before we take Nita, we're just gonna go to Mr. Gerson first, okay?
Thank you. We certainly hope the new director has the same personality that we do.
Yeah.
That is what sets the tone, and that's important. You mentioned the elevator project is finished.
Mhm.
The elevators in buildings 3 and 4 are not in the same standard as 2, 5, 6, and 7, which have neat inside.
Yeah. So the upgrade portion was different in those 2 elevators. They did not require what was required in 2, 5, 6, and 7.
They did.
Pardon me?
Well, I don't want to get into it, but building 4 is falling apart.
So what do you mean, like the interior part of the cabin is falling apart?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll look at that.
You got the tape taken down though.
Okay, that's a good start. All right, so we can look into that. I don't have the nitty-gritty details, Mr. Gerson, on what exactly are the differences between the 2, but I'm gonna try to get that information to you so that it can be better explained to you. But we'll certainly look at the inside of the cabin. And I think Nita had a question.
Nita didn't have a question. Nita has a statement. First of all, you forgot to take credit for our video and our TVs and all that sort of thing. When you came on board, if it rained in New York, we didn't have a TV for 2 weeks. And that's the truth. But I do thank you so much for all you've done for us. As much as we care for you, we can't be sad because we're happy.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we're very grateful for all the people sitting right over there that it's not like you just walked out and left us. I mean, you've taught them and worked with them and they have worked with you till we've all been spoiled. But the thing of too, we're so glad to thank you for MB before you do leave, because we lost you and we lost Christy and so many good people. But at the same time, we're glad to have MB, and I understand Kelly now has a new assistant, so she's probably gonna be hard to deal with, Christy. But we're so grateful and as you said before, what makes this place good, what makes it special beyond here is all of you. You
to
can have the
people.
ambassador, but if the ambassador brings someone over to you that you never saw before and you hope you never see again, you still greet them. You let them know that we're like a big family, that we don't have to love each other, we have to put up with each other. And so we thank God for that, and thank you for training us like you have. And we'll once in a while we'll miss you.
Okay, that's okay. Once in a while I'm gonna miss you too. I thank you, Gita. I appreciate that. To a little bit to Mr. Gerson's point relative, and Mr. Berry asked about replacement. The corporate people, you know, that I report to did ask me, so describe to us what you think a good, I'm gonna say perfect, but a good candidate would be for your replacement. And I really touched on what we talked about today, which is somebody who's welcoming, somebody who is there to help serve our residents, which is really why we're all here, is to serve you, but primarily someone that's willing to listen, right? Whether we talk through something and we come up with a compromise, or we get to some point that, okay, maybe not 100% of what you want, maybe it's not 100% of what, you know, we want, but we compromise and we work together and we live together, right? Nita said it. We don't need to love everybody in the room. We need to respect everybody in the room, and we need to listen to each other. And there is nothing that we cannot resolve through conversation, right? If we truly listen to each other, we'll figure it out. It'll happen. So please keep that in the back of your minds. And I have certainly tried to get that message through to say, whoever that person is, lady or gentleman, whoever that is, you know, please make sure that they understand that listening is really important. All right, I think Mr. Ruskin.
Mark, tell us about that safety room in houses, and what are they used for in Tulsa?
Safety room.
Safety room.
Oh, safety room. Well, my wife said, we were looking at real estate, and she goes, what's that? There's photos, and I go, oh, that's a safe room. So what do you mean it's a safe room? It's for tornadoes. When there's a tornado, get in the safe room. That's the place to be. She goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, not all the homes have safe rooms. She goes, I want one with a safe room. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Cooper had it.
I just want to say thank you very much for sharing Estelle and your voice with us. It does a lot to round out our understanding of you as a person.
Yeah, they've enjoyed their time here, and thank you for that. All right, I think we're good, or we're done.
Oh, we're done anyhow.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, that was it.